So this is the part where we start to make our application actually look like an application, and we're going to start by adding a navbar at the top of our page. So let's head back to VS Code, and I'm just going to clean up my open tabs, and inside the client app, inside the source folder, and inside the features folder, the first feature we're going to add is a navbar. So we'll create a new folder inside here, and we'll just call it nav. And inside the nav, I'm going to create a new file and call it navbar.tsx. And inside this navbar.tsx, what we'll use is the React snippets that we installed as an extension earlier on. And if I type in RAFC, then this is going to create a React arrow function component. And this is pretty much what we'll use for all of our components that we create in this application. So let's add some code inside here, or JSX inside here, for our navbar. Now we're going to be using Semantic UI for this, so I'm just going to go to the react.semantic.ui documentation, and what we want to look for inside here is the menu, and this is in the collections segment of the Semantic UI docs, and I'm just going to click on menu and take a look at the different options we have for different menu bars. And let's scroll on down, see if we can find something suitable that we can then just customize for our purposes. And there's a whole bunch of different options inside here, and what I'm looking for is something fairly simple that we can just copy into our code. And this inverted menu here is kind of what we're looking for. So I'm just going to click on the try it, and then what I'm going to do is just copy the menu code into my clipboard and head on over to my navbar component and just paste this inside the return. And we need to import Semantic UI menu into this component. So I'm just going to remove the U. This is one of the easiest ways to do it, and then add the U back in. And then I'll get access to my auto imports from Semantic UI React. So I'm just going to bring this in, and we have now our import at the top of this file, and I'm just going to reformat and make some adjustments. We don't want any of this functionality in here at the moment, so I'm just going to remove and just remove the on-click and the active properties from each of these, and just reformat again. And what we want to do is add our navbar into our app component. So I'm just going to open up the app.tsx, and what we're going to do is replace the header with the navbar. So I'm just going to remove this and just start typing. And what we want to do actually to import one of our own components, the easiest way is just to add the left angle bracket and then start typing the name of the component, and we should see it available in our list to auto import inside here. So I'm just going to select the navbar and then just close off this particular tag, and we should see that we've imported our navbar from features navbar. And if we go and preview this, this is going to look pretty terrible, but let's see where we stand at the moment, and we have our navbar across the screen. But we want to make some adjustments to this, obviously. So let's head back to VS Code, and inside the navbar, first of all, I want to make this fixed at the top so that the navbar sticks in place. So I'm going to use a property of fixed equals and then select top. And this does a couple of things. First of all, it's going to make our menu fixed, obviously. But what it's also going to do is remove any padding that our previous navbar had. And now we're missing a couple of activities that are sort of hidden behind our navbar. But we'll deal with the styling a bit later. What I also want to do is not have the menu items pushed right up against the left-hand side. And what we can do is add a container, a Semantic UI container, around our menu items so that it gives it some default padding. So I'm going to add a container and bring this in as well from Semantic UI. And close that off and cut and paste the menu items inside the container. And if we take a look, we should see now that our menu items have moved across the page and are a little bit more central. And what we also want to do is adjust our menu items. Now the first menu item, I'll just remove the name in this case and not make it a self-closing tag. And inside here, first of all I want to make this menu item a header because this is going to contain our title. And I'll also add a logo here as well. So I'll just add an image, and the source of this image is going to be assets/logo.png, and give it an alternate of just logo. And underneath this image I'm just going to add the title, which is Reactivities. The next menu item, I'm just going to swap this for Activities. And in the third menu item, once again I'm just going to remove the self-closing tag, add a closing tag, and in the children of this particular menu item I'm going to add a button, which I'm going to import from Semantic UI React and make it a self-closing button. And in the properties for this button I'm going to make it positive, which is going to give it a green color. And the content of this button, I'm going to say create activity. And if we take a look now and see where we're at, we can see that, sure, we've got our different elements in a menu bar, but we don't actually have our logo yet. And of course the styling of our content still looks terrible. And what we'll do is we'll take a look at styling in React next, but first of all let's just bring the images across into our application so that we can at least see the logo that we have inside here. So I'll just go back to VS Code, and what I want to do here is inside my public folder I'm just going to create a new folder called Assets. And anything that we put inside the public folder doesn't get minified or changed in any way. It's simply copied across when we build our application as it is inside here. Now what I'm going to do is just right click and reveal in folder for our assets folder. And what I'm going to do is just copy across from our course assets. So open up the course assets folder. And inside the course assets folder there's an images folder, and we want to copy all of these images into our clipboard. So I'm just going to copy these 10 items, including the category images folder and all of the images inside there, as well as the logo, the placeholder, and the user.png. And inside the assets folder I'm just going to paste in these 10 items. And if we go back and take a look inside our assets folder, we should see we've now got these images inside there, including the logo.png, which matches the path that we've put inside here. So if I go back to the browser, then we can see that we've now got this logo inside here. But everything's styled badly at the moment. So what we need to do is take a look at how we can style our components in React. And we'll take a look at that next.